Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Today is another day that we have been given the honor and the privilege to come before you on this particular platform, acknowledged as Project 365. Well, I am Portia Wheatley. I am the founder and the president of a nonprofit organization acknowledged as Trophy of Life Incorporated. And we have the opportunity to bring to you messages of hope, encouragement, and inspiration. And we're so grateful to God that He's allowed us to do that. Let me bring in my co-host on today.
Hello, everyone. My name is Takara Swan, and I am so happy to be here with you today. I am so excited to hear from our guest today, a little something different. And before we get started, I want to remind our viewers, please go to our YouTube page and subscribe, like, share, comment. Help us bring hope, encouragement, and inspiration to the entire world. You are part of our team, and we cannot do it without you.
We cannot do it without you. And as Takira has said, today's a little different. And we have a great opportunity to hear from someone who knows music like the back of their hand. Ellsworth Wheatley. Yep, we have the same last name, Wheatley. We had the same last name, and Ellsworth is one of my classmates, and we reconnected. And I was looking for someone who could tell me about music as therapy, using music as therapy. And I hit the nail right on the head. And Ellsworth, he knows so much about music. Usually, a lot of people just hear music and they play music by ear, or they were raised up with the music. So therefore, they somewhat just picked it up on the side. But Ellsworth, he's been to school for music. And he has a depth of information and very knowledgeable of different instruments, the type of music, what music can do for you, whether it's take you to a high or take you to a low, how music can change atmospheres, calm. You know what they you know that saying, music calms the savage beast. I think that's what the saying is. But it's amazing. Music has been around for a long time. And it still goes on today, and it still has the same effect in the sense of changing atmospheres. It's amazing that different settings, even different stores that you go in, you wonder how you're shopping. And sometimes it's the music that gets you going. And then other times you go in, whether it's a restaurant or someplace else, and it's so calming. But today we're going to hear about different types of music and what music can do for you and how it can change you, change your atmosphere, change your person. But we're going to hear about music from the guru himself, Mr. Ellsworth Wheatley. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation, Ellsworth. I would certainly appreciate it. And this message of how we're going to receive it is going to go around the world. We're just putting that out there in the atmosphere. And we thank you for bringing your knowledge to this platform to share with the world. You have it.
Well, thank you for having me today. And as you know, we both had the same education growing up, went through the same school, then we went our separate ways a couple years ago. But it is nice to reconnect with you. And I'm still doing music just like I was doing in high school, just like I was doing in elementary school when I would get near the piano and push keys on the piano in school and get in trouble. And then I got to play it occasionally. But I have enjoyed music. I mean, I remember starting, when I was little, my parents both were involved in music. And I remember sitting on my father's lap and him holding the violin and trying to guide the bow across it. Like, oh, that's interesting. And then on special occasions, we would wind up in the room with the piano and he would play the piano. So when My brother, being older, had started guitar lessons. My parents got me a toy ukulele, a toy drum set, anything to keep me from breaking his guitar. Fast forward a couple years, I was doing piano lessons and trying to become a church organist. It's like you had to have 5 years piano lessons to do the organ. 5 years to the day of my first piano lesson, a little electronic organ was delivered to the house. The next day I walked in, it happened to be on a Saturday. The next day we walked into church and somebody said, "Could you play for Sunday school?" Of course I can. And I walked over to the church organ and played for Sunday school. And the rest is history. I have been a church organist since I was 13. Currently am organist in 3 churches, 3 different denominations, so the schedule works. And absolutely love every minute of it. So Saturday morning, I start off with the Park Seventh-day Adventist Church in Salisbury. Saturday afternoon, I'm in Ocean City at St. Luke's Catholic Church. And then the rest of the week, I'm at St. Peter's Lutheran Church, depending on the schedule, but I'm there a lot and have been for, well, over 30 years in Catholic Church. I've been there it's new, I've only been there 26 years. But the other 2 churches I've been with over 30 years. So that being said, Portia and I graduated from high school over 30 years ago. And music has just always been something that I can do. It's like the piano was always a given thing. And it's, refreshing. Sometimes you walk in a room, you'll hear a piano playing something quiet. And then some days you'll feel like, well, I want to feel more like I'm in church and I want to hear the organ. And coming from a musical household, my late brother was a very creative person who would rebuild instruments. This is from the 1890s, and it is a reed pump organ. It's not electronic in any way, shape, or form. And that sends out a totally different message than what you got from that piano, right? And when you are listening to music, the different instruments say a different message. If I grab a trumpet, it's going to give you a different uplifting experience. If you were to listen to, and I'm not going to play this because I don't have it hooked up right now, but if I picked up my flute, it's going to give you a totally different feeling. When I was in high school, I grabbed one of these things because I thought, well, this was like a fun instrument to play. And yeah, so if you have a marching band, which I did in high school, it was like we got to be on the front row. And actually, from the time I got my driver's license until I got out of college, I rode around with a trombone in my car and played it for all the opportunities in high school and college. So I lived with that instrument. The trumpet, being my father had played trumpet, it was like when I started 7th grade, wanted to be in band, get a trumpet. So I played trumpet, and I still play and teach trumpet. And depending on where I've been and what I've done, you know, you wind up thinking, well, you're going to be working with people. You need to have instruments that can get with people. So it's like you can take a guitar and you can walk into a room. And early on after college, somehow I wound up doing introduction to music for senior citizens. They hadn't called it music therapy. They would have had to pay me more probably, or it would have come under another classification. But I had started out as a volunteer in a nursing home while I was in college, simply because I felt the need for it. I had gone with a church group, and I felt like we're having a funeral for these people. They would like to have something that's going to be a little different. And I talked to activity director. Next thing I know, I was a nursing home volunteer. Well, that worked also for college because you had to have so many hours of this and that. And it's like, oh, the activity director and I had become friends. And she said, well, we can do this. I'll fill this paper out. That'll cover that for your class. After college, the opportunity came to be on the faculty of a community college and going to nursing homes, state hospital, and working with senior citizens. Now, I'm going back in history. The places provided me with a piano and an apparatus called a cassette tape recorder. So I could take a cassette tape and have that to, if I wanted to introduce a particular performer or something, I would usually take an instrument in with me. Like if I would take my trumpet, or I would take a violin, or I would, you know, whatever instrument, I usually had something available I could take in there and show and play a little bit on it. But then it's like I would play that music. But every time I would go, I would take a guitar. Because when you're working with people sitting in a wheelchair in a room, you need to be able to get to them. And I'm the world's best guitar player. My brother showed me a half a dozen chords. I took classical guitar lessons later on in life. I have taught people how to play the instrument. But when I actually get in public playing it, those half dozen chords my brother showed me are the ones that come to mind, and I can get away with a lot. But, you know, it's like, you know, so you can walk in a room like this and somebody's going to say, well, okay, you're playing guitar. And, you know, it works. And you can reach people. When I've actually been in a school classroom, I taught part-time in a couple private schools off and on for a number of years. And I occasionally would sub. I was doing instrumental music, but I would occasionally sub for the general music teacher. And when I did, I would use a guitar, because you could get in the classroom. If you're doing general music, you want the kids to sing. You don't want to be stuck too far away from them. So again, I would walk in there with this silly guitar and play it. And
did you give the senior citizens something upbeat? and change the atmosphere?
Well, when you would walk in the room, some days the activity director would say, well, they're a little bit wild. Keep it low key today. Other days you would go in there and it's like, well, they're not awake. And so you do.
And they perk up.
So you go in there and sing zippity doo dah. Well, and you know, oh, that you wake up. But if you've got them on a day where their medication was, which that they were hyper, I would be warned when I would walk in certain places. Keep it low key today. And, you know, that would work. Then if you walk in a restaurant, I've done the same thing. I would go in a restaurant, I'm playing dinner music. And you're sitting there and you're being very calm. Well, they've got people waiting in line to come in. They have to turn over the tables. So the hostess or dining room manager or whoever would be in charge would come up to me and say, need you either to play something upbeat or take a break, one or the other, whatever would work, depending on the occasion, you know, to turn the tables over. So it's like, you know, you're sitting there and you're eating and the music is just, you know, you're sitting there, you're going to be quiet, but it's like, if the music changes, you're going to start feeling like, oh, I got to get up and move. And that will turn over tables in a restaurant.
Have you ever been in the settings that you had to, I'm not talking about the senior citizens where you either calm them down or get them going, but any healing, physical healing or mental calming settings where you have to play music as therapy?
Well, did you ever walk in a church?
Yeah, once or twice.
You have? Okay. Me too. Now, I have played for Pentecostal and high liturgical churches and everything in between. And sometimes they will have a place where the music needs to calm you down.
Okay.
In Ocean City at the Catholic Church, Saturday afternoon can be a really wild time. You walk in the church, we have a beautiful grand piano, and I will be sitting there playing favorite hymns. Just, you know, I'll be playing along something that's very calm, because that'll settle you down. And then I move to the organ when it's time for the service to begin. But I can make it very calm, or I can, depending on the mood. Then if I'm playing in church with, you know, sometimes there'll be like an altar service. And sometimes you need that sound of feeling like, well, I'm actually in church and I need to have something that makes it feel, oh, let's see, I don't want to blast you out here. You know, sometimes you need that. Do you hear that?
Yes.
Well, sometimes you just need that little feeling. And, you know, it could be like during a communion service or an altar call that the organ is going to just play.
Let me hear one of those just a couple frames of what you play in a Pentecostal church. And then I want you to play the song. Well, you just played it. I think, was that Blessed Assurance?
Blessed Assurance.
Yes.
Well, I mean, and it depends on the occasion. I mean, it's like when I was in college, I had the opportunity in a very good Pentecostal church. Sunday night would be fun. We would get in there. The choir would start warming up maybe 6 o'clock-ish. The service would start at 7, so music was happening. And the first hour would be music. And I was at an organ, there was a piano player, and the minister's son played drums behind the piano. And we had a choir and a song leader, loads of fun. And, you know, that's the kind of thing that you don't get in every church. But
for sure.
You know, and Sunday nights don't happen much in church. And the ones I'm in anymore.
Yep, soon and very soon. Right.
You figure I've done that. I mean, it's in the hymnals in most, well, I'll put it this way. Most churches have it in the hymnal. The older hymnals don't have it. But in the Catholic Church and the Lutheran Church where I play, it's in the hymnal.
Well, you have a little bit of all of that in you. Look, take a moment and share with us. Now, how many people, audience, how many people do you know have all of these instruments in their home? But take your camera and scroll across and just introduce what instrument you have.
Okay.
And do you play all of them, Ellsworth?
Of course. I had to.
Wow.
Okay. The organ.
It's not just the organ. What kind of organ is it?
It is a 1890s reed organ, and the instrument is from the 1890s. My brother was a rebuilder, and he rebuilt this for me, actually. He did quite a few. In fact, after he died, I had about 3 of them sitting here, and I donated them to a museum and sold the other. And of course, there's a guitar sitting here that I just had.
All right, take us a little slower, because in your monitor, it's keep it kind of still. Yeah.
There's a trombone sitting here, and a flute sitting there in its case. And this is the keyboard that you heard earlier that sounds similar to an organ. And hanging here on the wall, I have a trumpet that I grab every once in a while. I've got a couple others in cases, but sometimes I'm just in the mood to play the trumpet. And out of case, not me.
Okay, looks like you're gonna have to just tell us about the others. You're freezing on it. So yeah, just tell us what you have there.
Well, this, of course, is, I think you can see it, it's a baby grand piano. Then we have...
And that's the nice, woo.
Oh, yeah. Now, this here. This is my favorite violin. I'm trying to see if I've got it so you can see it, but I'm
Yeah,
having
we're gonna
trouble
have to
seeing
bring
what
it.
I'm seeing.
We're gonna have to bring it to a close because you're freezing. We want to make sure we get everything. So, but we see that. That's wonderful.
Then this is when I'm in the mood to really play piano. This one I actually bought while I was in college because I thought it was neat looking, and it was the family room piano. Actually, at my mother's house, it was in the family room, I believe up until about a little over 15 years ago when we moved in this house and I finally had space for it and needed to move it out. But it's a happy
it still has a
sounding.
good sound.
Oh my gosh. Well, little secret, I also became a piano tuner.
Now, you're just a jack of all trades.
Well, that's it. I do music full time. So I teach piano, violin, trumpet, cello. I've had flute, clarinet students, saxophone students. I play accordion, but I've never had a student because nobody really wants to play accordion anymore.
Mm.
And
but that, you know what, Ellsworth, that's a lot of those are a lot of instruments, and all of that is up in that head right there. No matter what year we graduated from high school, you still have that all lodged there in your head. That's amazing, and that is a blessing. And I know Takira is a part of music, is in her DNA as well. And Takira, what are your thoughts on Ellsworth and what he does?
Well, I think it's absolutely amazing what you do. You don't find a lot of people who are really good at multiple instruments. You may have some that, are master one as their craft and they dibble and dabble in others, but I can surely appreciate your craft and love and an appreciation for music and the instruments that you play, and that, it is a life, music is your life, and I really appreciate that. I come from a very musical family, so music has always been very important to me. And one thing I just want to say that I love about music is, music, it doesn't matter where you are, where you come from, your background, what you believe in. Music is so universal, and music really does set the atmosphere. It literally has energy in it. Like, music is energy. It sets the tone, it sets your mood, it can heal your mind, it can soothe your soul. It empathizes with you when you're down, when you're happy, any kind of emotion that you can feel. Music is always there. Music always has your back, and that's just one thing that I really love about it, because it reaches everyone and it's so full of emotion. And you can listen to music, you don't even know what they're saying, could be in a different language, but yet you can feel what the artist is trying to convey. And that's what I love about it. You don't have to speak anything, to feel and understand what music is trying to do. So that's just a few reasons of why I just love music so much, and why I appreciate musicians like yourself who have mastered their craft. So I just want to thank you. It's a wonderful time meeting you today. And thank you for coming on our broadcast and sharing, this love and gift that you have, with us.
Thank you so much. I do appreciate it. And as our closing, Ellsworth, would you let me see, I don't know whether it was that piano or the other piano. Close us out on Blessed Assurance, Jesus is Mine. Would you do that for us?
We can do that.
Absolutely. Audience, thank you so much for joining us on today on Project 365. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow, the same time, same station. And Ellsworth is going to close us out with Blessed Assurance, Jesus is Mine. Okay, Ellsworth, you got it. Thank you so much. God bless. And we'll see you at another time.